Hi, I'm Jamie Dunbar. Before the coronavirus changed everything about how we live our lives, we strongly encouraged every puppy owner to introduce their puppy to at least 100 new people before their pup reached 3 months of age. Unfortunately, it's not possible right now, but it's just as important as ever. With that in mind, my dad recorded a webinar about how to socialize and desensitize your puppy while maintaining social distance. We would like to share this webinar with anyone who has a puppy because we are very worried about what is going to happen to all these puppies who are stuck at home during this critical period in their development. That's why we're uploading it here, now, so everyone can see it for free. This webinar is about 1 hour long, so I thought that it would be good to record a brief introduction to summarize the main points, in case you are pressed for time. We want to make sure you can get this information as quickly as possible, because if you have a puppy, the clock is ticking. The huge change for most puppies raised during social distancing is the lack of socialization and desensitization. If you are practicing social distancing, then you won't be able to introduce your pup to 100 people. So instead, you need to do your best to replicate that experience safely. You and anyone else that lives in your household should try to pretend to be other people and then greet your puppy. Basically, you need to play dress up and act like different people. The more costumes and props, the better. Keep in mind, dogs rely on smell a lot, so you can also try changing your scent with perfumes, colognes, or items from your pantry. You can even ask friends and family who are likely to meet your pup when it's older to mail you a t-shirt they've worn so that you can wear the shirt and your pup can get used to the smell of your various friends and family. Have fun with it. Put a scarf over your head, dab some vanilla on your wrist, and hobble around with a cane, pretending to be an old lady. Or put on a jersey and a big foam finger, paint your face, and pretend to be an excited and exuberant sports fan. If your puppy is unfazed, that's wonderful. Feed them some kibble and practice some obedience skills while you continue to act like a stranger. If your pup is wary, take it easy. You don't want to traumatize them, so give them time and space to approach you. Toss food to them, or if you have someone else in your home, they can offer your pup food. Take it slow and let your pup build up the confidence to approach you. When they do, reward them with some extra tasty treats. And there are things you can do without dressing up, just by acting in novel ways. March, limp, crawl, fall down and roll around on the floor, hop like a bunny, shake like you're having a seizure, do yoga, make silly faces, pretend you're a dinosaur or a monster. If you have children in your home, you're at a huge advantage. Most kids are naturals at acting in novel ways. If you don't have kids, it's time to get in touch with your inner child. Because eventually your dog is going to see a child, and that child could very well be acting in an unpredictable and energetic manner, and if your pup has never seen something similar, they're going to get spooked. Now, the people-based socialization is the most important, but there's also lots of deliberate desensitization you should be doing with non-living stimuli. Dogs can be spooked by novel objects and environments, so try to expose them to as many different things as you can. There's a ton of this that you can do in the safety of your own home. As always, it's a great idea to expose your pup to objects that you know they will need to interact with, like grooming tools and vet tools. Many dogs also develop phobias about walking on different materials. So have your pup walk on all the different types of floor in your home. Put your pup in the bathtub. Put down novel materials like flattened cardboard boxes, bubble wrap, aluminum foil, or piles of empty plastic water bottles. Now it's time to raid your closet, attic, or basement. You want to find things they've never seen before. Sports equipment, skateboards, tools, balloons, appliances, holiday decorations, statues, stuffed animals, flags, banners, and so on. Objects that move or make noise are particularly useful, like a vacuum, a microwave, a hairdryer, or a remote-controlled car. If you don't have stuff like that, make use of what you do have. Put your toaster in the middle of the living room floor. Turn a chair upside down. Make a stack of cardboard boxes or couch cushions. Hang a shirt from the ceiling and set up a fan so it blows around. Put familiar objects in novel places or use them in novel ways. And just like with the socialization training, you should give your pup plenty of time and space to get used to these things. Hand feed them food to help them form a positive association until they're completely at ease with the new stimulus. Then, introduce something new. As your pup gets more confident, you can keep increasing the novelty. Try being a novel person, wearing novel things, acting in a novel way in a novel environment. And you can still make use of the real outside world if you're careful and safe. Sit on your front porch or sit at a window and watch the world go by with your pup. Anytime you see anything, feed your pup a piece of kibble. Car, kibble. Jogger, kibble. Squirrel, kibble. Feed your pup a whole meal like that, just sitting there and watching things go by. If you have a car, that's a wonderful way to take your pup to new locations while still maintaining social distance. Drive to a new place where there are interesting things to look at and just hang out in the car, hand-feeding your pup their meal. I know this all may sound a little ridiculous, but this is what your pup desperately needs. And unfortunately, the only way they can get it is for you to make this extra effort. Now, a few caveats. I mentioned this earlier, but you don't want to overwhelm or traumatize your pup. If your pup is running away and hiding from something new, try to lower the novelty or the intensity a little bit. Give your pup space and time and lots of food treats and let them gradually build their self-confidence. Also, be safe. Don't expose your pup to dangerous objects. Don't let them play with anything sharp or poisonous. And finally, don't overdo it. By far, your pup's primary activity should be napping and settling down in their crate or playpen. Try to expose your pup to a few new things every day, but give them plenty of time to chill out in between. On that note, if you're spending lots more time at home, that's great for training your puppy. However, your puppy still needs to learn how to enjoy spending time alone. If you are around all the time during these first formative months, your pup is going to grow dependent on your presence. When you do need or want to start spending time outside of the house, it's going to be completely devastating for your pup if they are left at home alone, and they will develop terrible separation anxiety. With that in mind, it's really important that you train your pup to enjoy spending time alone, settle down in their crate or playpen. If your pup doesn't currently enjoy spending time alone in their confinement areas, you should train them to love being in their crate, and you should start immediately. Devote most, if not all, of their daily diet to this goal. Put their food into hollow chew toys, which they only get access to when they're in their crate. Keep the crate door open and toss pieces of their food into their crate, and if they are in their crate, quietly settle down, praise and reward them. All right, if you'd like to learn more about these concepts, keep watching, and in a moment we'll show you Dr. Dunbar's hour-long webinar on this topic. You can also join the Top Dog Academy, and if you use the link in the description, you can get your first month's membership for free. After that, it's just $20 a month, and you can cancel at any time. Alternatively, if you'd like live, real-time, personalized feedback and training advice in a small group setting, you should visit our sister site, SeriousPup.com, using the link in the description below, and sign up for one of our new live online puppy training classes. All right, that's all from me. I'll hand it off to Dr. Dunbar.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Whew, my heart is pounding. I nearly missed it this morning. I was just gaily going through my day, having a cup of tea, doing some odd jobs, and then I thought I should probably go through my notes before 2 p.m., and then I casually glanced at them, and it says 11 a.m. And so, anyway, that was 7 minutes ago, and I've been panicking since then. But here I am. I made it. And so, off we go. Creative puppy socialization and enrichment at home. One of the things that's happened to me yesterday, actually I spent the time answering questions on the Top Dog Academy, which you get a month's free access to, and please use it. I'm sure some of you are members already. It's an enormous resource, and one of the things you get access to a private Facebook page, and it's only for our subscribers. And I try and answer questions there. So that's what I did all day yesterday for about 8 hours. And a lot of the questions, it was pretty obvious these were people who were new to the page and they hadn't explored anything. They hadn't watched any of the hundreds of hours of information, on each problem. And I spent 4 hours answering questions about dog reactivity, which were non-problems. Their dog's squabbling. It's what dogs do. It's what humans do. No damage done. It ain't a problem. Let's resolve it. So please use this resource. There's an awful lot there. One part of it I wanted to alert you to today is the free course collection. which you can access without subscribing. But since you're subscribed, it's not sort of typeset or tarted up yet. It's basically articles that I've written. And I spent about a year writing it. And a lot of it is about puppy husbandry, raising puppies, socialization, and what happens and why it's important. And I think that people just don't understand what environmental enrichment is, or what socialization is. They haven't a clue. I talk to people at seminars. I remember one guy once, he said to me, I said, oh yeah, my dog's really well socialized. I socialized him with an Akita. So his puppy met one Akita, and he thinks that's socialization. No, that's not even remotely giving the dog the chance to learn social savvy with other dogs. And the same thing with people. You know, commonly in the world as it was, is a family, 4 kids, and they grew up with a puppy, and the puppy saw them through, kindergarten, high school, and saw them off to college. And then the parents are empty nested, so they get another puppy. I'm going to bet money that this puppy will bite their grandchild 4 years hence when it's born. And this is so predictable. Why? I know they're not going to socialize the puppy, because you see, what they remember was their past dog that's now been dead for 2 years, lived to be 17, was so friendly with people. Yes, they had 4 kids in the house, bringing kids home. This dog was super socialized just in the house. Now they're growing up with no kids there, and it's when the baby, soon to be toddler, appears, he's going to get bitten. The stuff is so predictable. So one of the things I was thinking about yesterday was, back when the way it was, when we could travel anywhere, go where we want. We could go for walks with the dog, go to parks, go to picnics, take the dog everywhere with us. As a puppy, carry it to banks, to hardware stores, walk it along the streets, to sit on a street corner and have the puppy meet everyone who walks by, who's willing to get the puppy to sit first. We can't do that now. And puppies are going to suffer. And so I think we have to be very creative about what we do now. Otherwise, it'll be 3, 4, 5 months' time, there's going to be a spate of adolescent dogs, which are very wary and standoffish around people. And that will quickly develop within a few months to full-blown fearfulness, then reactivity, and then maybe aggression, snapping, lunging, dog bites. So we have to be very creative now, because we can't do what we could have done back then. And I say what we could have done because we didn't do it. I would say less than 1% of puppies are socialized or prepared to live with humans. People just don't do it. You see, and why not? They see the puppy, and at 8 weeks, he's totally friendly, he's confident. In fact, he's overly friendly and overly confident. And so they think he's fine, but he's not. What has happened already is probably 10, 20, 30 million brain cells have already died in that puppy because of lack of enrichment, and especially lack of social enrichment. I've been so interested in this topic now for 50 years. It's why I came to the States. It's why I did research in dog behavior. That I read an article, this was way back when I was at vet college. I took a year off to do a special honors bachelor's, so you did it in 1 year. It was really intense. I mean, you worked 16 hours a day every day, and they would only select 4 students from each, the vet college and every medical school in London. So, I really had to work that year to get accepted. I actually came 5th, and I had to convince someone he didn't want to do this course, because I really did. Anyway, by chance, I read 2 articles, one by Michael Fox, who also attended the Royal Veterinary College. And I wrote to him But when I read his article, it was about dog socialization, puppy socialization. It fascinated me that whatever you do in puppyhood has far-reaching, enormous and permanent effects that change the puppy's quality of life for life in the future. You can change the puppy so easily. And the younger the puppy, the more easily you can change it. But as it gets older, it becomes more and more resistant to change. And what could be accomplished in one puppy party, when the puppies say, 4 weeks old in the kennel. So no risk, totally safe. This is back then. We don't take the puppy out. We bring the people to the kennel and they take their outdoor shoes off so they don't infect the puppy with parvo because they've trodden and infected poop and pee and what have you, or leptospirosis or canine distemper. So we have one puppy party, has an enormous effect on the dog. I read a second article by Mark Rosenzweig, Marion Diamond, and a third person called Bentley, I think, on how experience changed brain anatomy. And I've since read up on this before I wrote the free course collection, and this change happens in real time. So as you pet a puppy, as you let him sniff the odors on your fingers, the dendrites from the neurons in the brain are moving like this. It's like an elephant's trunk. And they move towards another cell and boom, they plug in and form a synapse. And if you use those neurons, if you stimulate them, because it's exciting where this puppy is growing up, then you get more dendritic spine development, more synapses, bigger, fatter, more robust synapses. You get cell growth. What happens if you don't stimulate the puppy? He's only meeting one person. We don't do much, or he's locked in a kennel at the breeders. Well, millions and millions and millions of neurons just die. The synapses crumble, the dendritic spines retract, and then the cells die off. This is a period of growth, happens in babies, happens in kittens, happens in puppies, shortly after birth. And the amount of cell death is enormous. So the time to socialize and enrich the environment is within the first few days after birth, neonatally. It's amazing, like with human children, babies, what is going on in their brains at that time. They can barely focus their eyes. Puppies' eyes are closed. Puppies' ears are closed. But they can smell and they can feel. Okay? And this is the period that back then, when we could have done all this, we pretty much missed it all. There's probably 1% of lucky puppies that got this, and what it gave them through life was confidence. And I always like to say the biggest gift we can give any youngster, any animal, any child is confidence. To go through life with confidence is enormous. And this happens way back then. So let's talk about our puppies now. Please read the free course collection. You'll read a couple of articles. They're pretty scientific, but they're written in words you can understand about what happens in the brain prior to birth, immediately after birth, and what happens if we stimulate the brain with visual stimuli, auditory stimuli, olfactory stimuli, tactile stimuli, and especially the biggest stimulus in the puppy's environment is always people. Because this is going to be the scariest stimulus when they become 4.5 months old. And puppyhood ends and adolescence starts. This is when fears and phobias develop. You see, the puppy looked fine. Yes, he's a puppy. He won't start being wary of things and standoffish till he's 4.5, 5 months old. And this accelerates 6 months, 8 months, 9 months. And then someone asked me a question on the Top Dog Academy. Oh, why is he suddenly fighting with other dogs? Why is he staying away from my little boy? Why is he nipping at my boyfriend? This is normal social development. And if you think about it, it makes so much sense that for canids in the wild, they usually grow up in a little den. Who do they see for the first 8 weeks when they are so sensitive to new stimuli? Well, they see mum and they see their litter mates. And that's who they learn to thoroughly accept. And then about 7, 8 weeks, they go out of the den for short periods. And if anything weird happens, they run back inside. As they get older, they get more and more weirded out by not scary stimuli, just unfamiliar stimuli. So our goal with a youngster is to make the unfamiliar in adulthood absolutely, totally familiar and the status quo in puppyhood. So when something happens and say an adult comes in the room and slips and falls towards the dog and headbutts it while it's chewing on a bone, they don't get bitten. This is a real case I'm thinking of now, and it was a professor of zoology who went to visit another professor of zoology. Both at the time were teaching zoology courses on mammalian aggression. And one of them headbutts the other's dog. She actually had 2 marks in her face from the canine teeth. The dog turned around, snapped, but in that instant, and that instant is 0.04 of a second, the dog realized, oh my God, it's a person, initiated the bite and canceled it rather than ripping her face off. That comes because the zoology professor, both of them, were in puppy classes. And one exercise we always did there, it was a joke I played on the parents. I would get all the children together to ask them their names, write the names down, put it on a chair, and I say, okay, kids, look, if I say, children, chairs, you walk quickly and sit down. And that means something weird has happened, like one of your parents has left the door open, and a pup is going to run through that door, and every pup is going to follow it, and it's 2 doors to the street. So I want you all sitting down while I deal with the puppies, because I'm going to run. So they learnt this, and I said, and if you want to play a real little game on your parents, they'll think this is really funny. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sneeze and like stumble forwards. And when I do that, I want you all to fall to the ground and make weird jerky movements. Can you do that? So 40 minutes in the puppy class, I go, like this. And all the kids hit the floor going, and the reaction from the parents was enormous. But I wasn't watching the parents, I was watching the dogs. Why, what happens? Who's the first dog in that puppy class to approach those kids? At lightning warp speed, every pit bull in the class runs up to these fallen children, licking them, basically saying, it wasn't me, I know I'm a pit bull, but it had nothing to do with this, they just fell down. So there's the dog being so like, it wasn't me, I apologize, licking. Next up come the Labradors and the Goldens, lick. What happens to the Bernese Mountain Dog and the German Shepherd? The German Shepherd sits next to his owner and sort of goes, that is a full-blown bite when he's 8 months old. That is not the right reaction when a kid falls over. The right reaction is you run up and you lick them. And the owner doesn't see it because he thinks his German Shepherd is fantastic. Well, he remained in a sit state. No, your dog, his eyes were like this. He had whale eye, looking at these kids like, what the hell's that? So you can pinpoint the dogs that are going to become fearful and the dogs that are going to bite very early on when you see reactions like this. So let's go back now, and we're staying at home with our dogs. We can't go anywhere. And this is when I suddenly I made a decision yesterday. I am really, when this is over, going to change the world of dogs. I think puppies and their owners are getting the short end of the stick. The puppies don't get one millionth of the socialization and environmental enrichment that they should get. And if you want to see what I mean here, I posted 2 videos yesterday. Very gentle ones, because I know what's going to happen. A lot of trainers, especially totally positive trainers, are going to say, that puppy is scared. He's stressed. That's terrible what's happening there. Nope, The 2 videos I post, I watched over and over. It was environmental enrichment videos. And I'm looking for a puppy to startle. Because a check that you do, you see, you don't know, you can't test a dog's temperament until you go, like this, you frighten him. He startles, and then you say, come here, and you time. How long does it take from the startle time for the puppy to come up to you and say, it's okay, is it? You know, and get over it. You see, if the dog doesn't startle, then he's not been tested. But when he startles, a loud noise, you drop a pile, you drop a couple of plates and they break, you know, and the puppy startles. Does he get over it in half a second? Or does it take him 10 seconds? Or does he never get over it? There's tremendous breed variable here. The fastest bounce back in any dog is a good old pit bull. You frighten him, he goes, what was that? I love it, lick it. And that instantly, yes, they startle, but then they get over it. The longest bounce back time, German Shepherds, all shepherd dogs. So the 50 breeds of shepherd dog around the world, you know, the Belgian shepherds, you know, the Dutch shepherds, the Sheltie type dogs, the collies, the shepherd dogs and sheepdogs. Some of them will hold a grudge for a lifetime, like it's the Hatfield and McCoys. Oh, they came in and made a loud noise. I hate them forever. In puppyhood, we can get them to startle to get over it. But as these videos go on, I'm going to post 2 more today that will make people's jaws drop. This is socialization. One is with neonatal puppies, 2 weeks old, being handled by a class of school children, kindergarten class. The next is 40 6 to 8-year-old kids socializing 8-week-old puppies. You won't believe what's going on there. The noise, the activity, the mayhem, but you can't find a puppy that's weirded out. And that's the point of enrichment and socialization. We do it early so we can do it later until we build it up. And the best example of socialized adult dogs that I've ever seen in my life was when we held the Canine Games in the Sky Dome in Toronto. 30,000 people screaming, music blaring, and we have 72 dogs off leash doing amazing stuff, totally focused on their owners, doing really precise obedience, doing really fast and frenetic games, but under total off-leash verbal control, even though the level of distraction was enormous. While we were doing this, because I did it to raise money for the Credit Valley Dog Show, and it brought in 30,000 people, and these people paid at the door. But they were having an obedience competition and a confirmation show, and they came over and said, can you turn the music down? It's spooking our dogs. And the difference is our dogs went through puppy class and were trained off leash from the beginning. So we taught them that this is the status quo and you can do it in puppyhood. To do it in adulthood, well, I'll give you the time frame. Puppy class week 1, I notice Sheltie is hiding and shivering under a chair. I hope to resolve this before the class is over. So the shelter is out playing with all the other puppies there and visiting the people. If I don't pick up this problem until the Sheltie is 5 months old, it's going to take me 4 to 6 months to resolve this problem. If I don't pick it up until the Sheltie is 8 months old, it's going to take a couple of years. Yeah, the puppy's brain is so plastic. So when I think back to the things we could have done but didn't, and the things we can't do now, well, in the future, it is going to be different. I'm really going to push this. I've decided I'm going to tell the truth. That what you're doing with dogs to raise it in a kennel and only seeing 2 people, adult women, the breeders, is the cruelest thing you could ever do to any animal. To subject it to a lifetime of developing fears and phobias. The dog freaking out when left at home alone. Scared because there's thunder. Scared when a child comes up to it. Scared of men, scared of the vet, scared of the groomer. It's just not right. Anxiety and fear are crippling. And we're going to change it. But what do we do now when we can't do all these things? Well, there's lots of good sides, upsides to being sequestered at home with your dog. I mean, a lot of things are going to benefit, like your dog's training. You got plenty of time to train your dog, right? You can have 10 training sessions a day, 10 minutes each. Teach them all sorts of games that I've talked about in these other webinars, which you can now access with your free access to the Top Dog Academy. You just go to the course called Webinars and watch them. And it's about training while we have travel restrictions and socialization restrictions for humans. So it's a boon for education, entertainment, enjoyment. Okay? But I will give you a caution at the end today. When it's over, your puppy's going to miss you. So we have to prepare him for that when we return to the new normal, when you're leaving your house for 8 to 10 hours a day, because you've got to earn a lot of money now to pay off all the debts that you're creating now. So we need to prepare the dog. But I want to create in people now a hunger to do it right when we can. One major downside of being confined at home with your dog is the lack of socialization if you have a puppy. And we got to be very creative here. If you have an adult dog, it's okay. You'll be fine. He's happy for this to be happening, that you're at home with him. And you can play games with him, and his education, his entertainment, his enjoyment is really going to be cool. But for puppy, it's a downright emergency. So I've given a big thought about this. What can we do? A lot of you who've read my stuff know that my rules for puppies, these come from the Minimal Mental Health Guidelines for Rearing Puppies from openpaw.org, if you want to check it out more. That basically a puppy needs to meet, socialize with, be handled by, be trained by at least 100 people before he's 8 weeks old, quite safely in the kennel. That ain't happening. The puppy has to meet another 100 people between 8 and 12 weeks and be handled by, socialized with, and trained by those 100 people. Mainly your family, your friends, your neighbors, the sort of people who are going to come to the house. But you especially want children, men, and strangers, because these are the three types of humans that dogs become scared of when they're 8 months to 2 years old. So that's the hard bit. We can't invite them over, can we? So what are we going to do? Well, if you can't invite 100 people, and again, in the future, outdoor shoes remain outside. Let's not infect the puppy with virus. But now we can't invite 100 people because we don't want them to infect us with the virus. That means that you are going to have to do 100 times as much. And I think this is doable. Something happened to me a week ago in the training room over there, which really shocked me and then reminded me of what we should be doing, including me. And I forgot to do a lot of things with puppies. You know, you take it for granted. When you've had one dog and you've raised him to be rock solid and really well trained and reliable off leash, and you get another puppy, you don't train it as well because you expect they're going to be the same as your dog that just died. And so it gets cheated. And that's what I've been doing with the resident dogs here. I've been cheating them. I haven't been thinking about it, but it's going to be different. You know, it's been different all this week. We've been doing some pretty wild and wacky stuff, I got to tell you. So firstly, let's do the easy bit, environmental enrichment. Okay, and what does this mean? Well, if you talk to a breeder, they say, well, I took him to a place with stairs. Good, cool. And I've introduced him to different substrates, like a slippery floor in the kitchen. Cool. But this is not 1/10,000th of what you're meant to be doing. So if you go to our public Facebook page, I guess it's Dunbar Academy on Facebook, click on the links I posted yesterday to these 2 environmental enrichment videos. And this is a good friend of mine, a Russian dog trainer, who is unbelievable, that Probably I would rank, she's certainly my favorite dog trainer in the whole world. For a variety of things. And I have to be careful because I know a lot of dog trainers and I think they're really good in different ways. But I think this young lady has the whole package. Not does she do everything. She insists that breeders follow her instructions for environmental enrichment and socialization. So when she gets the puppies at 8 weeks, she can do pretty much anything with them. And you see what she's doing with these young puppies, you won't believe it. They're only 6 weeks and 8 weeks old. Oh my God. They're going to be bomb-proof. Why? Because she trains assistance dogs that by law are allowed in public. And the public can be a pretty weird place. And these dogs have to be unflappable, especially if they're assistance dogs for someone who has PTSD. If something weird happens and the dog freaks out, this could send the person over the top. It would be a trigger. So it can't happen. The dogs have to be bomb-proof. But also she competes in scent detection, explosive detection, protection work, and what have you. And when she competes, she normally does it at the Canine Olympics, which is largely police, paramilitary, and military. She wins. I think the last time she competed, she took 8 gold medals. So if you Google her name, when you go and watch the 2 little videos, you can find a good 5-minute video, pretty much an interview about her and what she's done to win this stuff. So she's producing dogs which are unbelievable. Okay. So recently on the Top Dog page, a couple of people have been asking me about ENS, early neurological stimulation, olfactory stimulation, the biosensor program in dogs, the super dog program. What did I think of them? Do they work? And my answer was, they're cool. They've got the right idea. Do they work? No, because they're ridiculous. So like ENS involves 5 exercises you do with the neonate, and each exercise lasts for a maximum of 5 to 7 seconds. That's 35 seconds total. And the exercise is like hold the puppy. Let him dangle with his legs down. Now let him dangle head down. Now have him upside down. So these are the exercises, 5 to 7 seconds each, 35 seconds in total. And it warns you, only do this once a day. I mean, this is crazy. Yet they got the right principle, handle puppies. When you see how it's done in the 2 videos I'm going to post today, hey, this is a kindergarten class of children handling neonates, every part of them, and we're singing a song as we do it. Handle the ear, here's an ear, flatten it down, then the other, bump, 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 and the paws, and they handle the puppies and have them upside down and this way, pass the puppy to the left. You know, that's what we mean by handling, really handling them. You can't do too much. It can't be too stressful. You know, it is stressful, and that's the whole point of it. It causes minor spikes of cortisol, but it resets the dog's cortisol response in adulthood. You see, if puppies are handled like this, and then you give them a big stressor in adulthood that someone's handling them and really hurting them. Let's say the puppy has dislocated his elbow, and the veterinarian's putting it back, and it's excruciating agony. You won't even get a cortisol blip in adulthood if they've been handled this way in puppyhood. But if they haven't been handled that way in puppyhood, normal stimuli, like a man standing up and putting on a hat and the dog has these totally over the top, you know, cortisol stress reactions. That's what it's about. So yeah, it is a little stressful, but after a while, it's not stressful at all. And you can do anything with these puppies when they're 2 to 3 weeks old. They're rag dolls. Especially, you can make any movement and any noise because their eyes and ears are closed. So that's when we introduce puppies, which are going to be sensitive to noises like Shelties, like every sheepdog, like every shepherd dog. I mean, what do you think they were bred for? To be good at what they do? Do you think they were honestly bred to bite people or bred to recognize sheep and herd them into bunches? No, They were bred to see movements in the environment. They were bred to have unbelievable hearing. They were bred to be sensitive. Yeah, but that means if we don't socialize them, they could overreact to things. So it's handle, 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 handle. Noises, 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 noises. Let's get them used to substrates. When you see the substrate enrichment, it's a room and the floor is covered with everything: pots, pans, seesaws made out of logs, unstable things to walk on, great big children's swimming pools filled up with empty plastic water bottles, like the kids have those colored balls to dive in. And the dog has to heal through all of this. Upstairs, down slides, running up slippery slides, through tunnels, into a bucket when the person bangs on the bucket, like bang, 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 bang. And you look at the puppy, there's not a sign of stress. So this stuff is all easy to do now if we do it. Your homes, if you have a puppy, it should be like a little jungle gym. On the floor, bubble wrap and crinkly, what's it called? The silver paper, the silver foil. Crinkle it up. And they walk over this until it's nothing. Been there, done that. And this dog, I'm not going to get the question like I got yesterday I answered on Top Dog Academy. My puppy freaks out in the elevator in my apartment block. The dog's just going to go in the elevator. Whoa, this is fun. It goes down. Whoa, it goes up. This is cool. Okay, we've given the puppy confidence. Let's now talk about, and we can talk about people. I would say we can start in very safe places, viewing from a window. So depending on whether you have an apartment, so it could be we have to wait till 7 p.m., and we're in Manhattan, and we open our window and we have a puppy on leash and we hold him very carefully and by the collar so he doesn't jump. We open the window and there's all this noise and we say, dinner time, kibble, 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 kibble. We hand feed the puppy with all this cacophony going on. Or maybe we're suburban. So we sit in the living room by the window and we watch who's going by. And every time someone walks by, we say, look, there's a cookie person. Kibble, kibble, kibble. We can classically condition, even though your dog's in confinement. We could take the puppy out with us in a car ride. We could go, when we go to buy groceries, only one person go in, but the other person could stay in the car with the puppy. And when they see a person, the window closed, otherwise people are going to want to pet it, they say, look, there's a person, kibble, kibble. We can wind the window down when no one's close so the puppy can sniff and hear the noises of the world that's out there. So there is, some stuff we can do, looking out our windows, looking out of the car window or in our yard. There still are people out there. And that socialization can start there because we can't invite 100 people to our home. So what was it that happened the other day? Well, I've been sequestered with 5 dogs. We're now down to 4. These are dogs being trained as assistance dogs. And we got a veteran to foster one for us because 5 dogs, trying to train them, it's quite a handful. And so we got 4 dogs. And we live with these dogs, Most of the day they're in the training room being trained, and then they have to go crate time so that they will transfer easily to a new owner who can just say, on your bed, and they'll just lie down and chill and do a 2-hour downstay on their bed. Or a 14-hour flight to Australia in a plane. So the downtime is a really important part of the training, but also teaching them stuff. Find your chew toy, go to your bed and settle down. Jamie tells me I have to video this today. So maybe that'll do what I do afterwards once I get over the shock of nearly missing this webinar, because I was going to do it 3 hours later than you were going to be here. So anyway, I know these dogs well. In the evening at 7 o'clock, they come into a room, which is, we are in the kitchen. They're not allowed in the kitchen. We eat dinner at the counter. And they're there on their dog beds. Then about 7:30, 8 o'clock, we move into that room and we read. We've just been watching Frankie and Grace, or Grace and Frankie, which is cool, 2 episodes a night. And the dogs are allowed couch time. So they get to be normal dogs too. So I know these dogs really well. The other day I walked into the training room and my leg gave way. I've got this annoying little condition. It's nothing serious, don't worry, but it's a thing pressing on my spine, and my leg just collapses, and I fell to the ground. All 4 dogs went ballistic. I fell over, and all of them went, woo, like this. And I thought, my word, and one of them is now 6 months old. We got him at puppyhood. And I thought, I've fallen into the trap that every dog trainer makes. They get a dog, it's a stupid dog, like it's a basset. They love it, they take it everywhere. It's so socialized, it's ridiculous, it's bomb-proof. And then they get into obedience and they compete with a basset, and everyone laughs at them, like everyone laughed at me with my Malamute, But you get hooked on competing. And you think, cool, And I loved doing it with my Malamute. He was the slowest dog out there, but he was really reliable. And he was goofy and he made people laugh. And so they say, why don't you get a proper dog? And I want to slap people when they say that. I'm sorry, a Basset and a Malamute are proper dogs. They may not be as fast as your Sheltie or Malinois or German Shepherd, but you know what? Your dogs spend a lot of time in the shop because they're freaking out at stuff. At least the Basset and my Malamute, are bomb-proof and aren't freaking out to people and the environment. But anyway, we get a second dog and then a third. And what happens with the third puppy we get? We forget to socialize him. We see this puppy, he's totally normal at home. Yeah, he's playing with his 2 dogs he knows, his friends. But we aren't taking him everywhere like we did our first puppy. He's not going to weddings and funerals. I took Omaha everywhere with me. I remember the first time Mimi and I couldn't take him, that's Jamie's mum and myself, was when we went to the ballet. And I rang them up, can I bring my Malamute? And they said, are you blind? Because this is 40 years ago. I said, no. I said, but he's a puppy. I don't want to leave him at home. They said, no dogs allowed. And I was really worried that evening. It was his first evening on his own. I didn't know then what I know now, that I get dogs used to being left at home alone while I'm still at home. So they're used to spending downtime in a single dog-proof room or in a crate. So, the third dog, you don't socialize. And with these dogs, I hadn't done the obvious stuff that I used to do back when I taught puppy classes 20 years ago. I used to teach 9 classes a week. And the second week, everyone had to carry something weird. And it was unbelievable what people had. Great big blow up, dinosaurs that you floated on in the pool, carrying a skateboard, carrying a drum and banging it. Week 4, everybody had to carry something weird and wear something weird. So I remember some guy came in a Ronald Reagan mask and it freaked out his Labrador. And we had to say, no, take your mask off. Let him know it's you. The dog sniffed him, then said, just put it a little over your face. Let him sniff the mask when it's not on your face. And it took about 5 minutes to get the Labrador used to his owner wearing a Ronald Reagan mask. But one guy, I remember, had 2 bud cans on his head with straws that came round. And people had great big sou'westers that you wear when you're on a ship in the rain, And they had hats and they had moustaches and all the sort of things that we know spook dogs out. Someone carrying a stick, an umbrella with a hat, sunglasses, quite normal stuff. So everyone's dressed up, wearing weird stuff. We had clowns with floppy shoes, those great big flip-flop shoes. And we always have, I say, someone has to come dressed as a French maid and someone has to be dressed as a frogman, an abalone diver. Why? These were 2 of my behavioral cases. A dog that attacked the vacuum cleaner and a dog that spooked out in Santa Barbara and ran across Highway 1 up the street when an abalone fisherman came out from underwater wearing 2 tanks, breathing, dressed in black with flippers. The dog, a German Shepherd, just lost his plot and ran off. So we dress up for this. But week 6, you carry something weird, you wear something weird, and you act weird. Funny walks. And what are the funny walks that set dogs off? Limps, falling down, John Cleese walks. It spooks dogs. I think you see where I'm going with this, right? I want you guys to embrace your inner thespian. You're going to embrace your inner child. And you're going to have a riot at home with your puppies or your adult dogs now by dressing up, carrying weird stuff, carrying a saucepan and banging on it like we're a drum. And the whole family walks around the house, blowing on bottles, beer bottles, or what have you. You're going to wear clothes, you're going to wear hats, you're going to wear beards, you're going to have silly gaits, you're going to crawl along the floor on all fours, you're going to skip, you're going to limp, you're all going to fall down, and have a fit on the floor, or fall down and pretend you're in a coffin. And because we can't have the 100 people do it. So you are going to have to do 100 times as much. If you want to be really creative about this stuff, you could get your family and friends who are going to come round when they can, when the restrictions are lifted, and just ask them to mail you an item, just a letter, okay? And send it in the mail. And when it arrives, like all mail, I let it sit for a day, because then all the virus by then should be dead. But then you're going to pick up this letter and let your dog sniff it. Now your dog can smell your friend. Your friend's not even there. I mean, if you want to go overboard with this, you can ask all your friends to mail used underwear if you want to smell that you can smell. But for dogs, there's no need to do that. Just someone touching a piece of paper, writing a note to you, like the good old days when we wrote letters to each other. Do you remember that? They said, "Hi, I hope you're doing well," instead of an email or a text that's read, deleted. What about a letter we can save to remember this moment? When we regrouped again about our dog, our puppy, our families, and realize what is really important in life. Who are the people who are really important? Then write to them and say, "Will you write back to me?" so your dog can sniff it. And when it sniffs it, you're going to give your dog 10 bits of kibble. Then you're going to put the letter someone else and say, "Find Joe." And when he finds Joe's letter, he gets another 10 bits of kibble. Then you're going to hide it. And we're going to play with the dog. He's going to find whatever's in there. So if you think a bit of paper won't do it, then have a bit of cloth. Have a worn T-shirt or something like that. And you can have a lot of fun with this. Because if you think about the route to the dog's brain, the quickest route to the deepest parts of the dog's brain is not like us, through our eyes, not like other animals, through their ears. It's through their nose. So you want to expose the dogs to all different scents. Let's get out your spice rack. And let's get down. Don't open the bottles. No need for the dog to stick his drippy nose in there and contaminate your cinnamon, before you're going to make some sort of aubergine or eggplant or something. Instead, you have a bottle of cumin, you have one of cinnamon, you have another of thyme, and one of oregano. And you say to the dog, "Find oregano." It's great. How do you think my friend Julie trains her dogs to find explosives? How much scent do you need? She takes, by tweezers, one Q-tip, and she touches whatever she wants the dog to find. Could be drugs, it could be explosives. One Q-tip. Then she hides it in a car parking lot. And because I helped her train one day, I was hiding the Q-tips. So the Q-tips, they had a bit of my scent on because it was close to me, but I didn't touch them. I used forceps, and I would hide them on top of a tire, in the crack, in a car door. Like one Mercedes, and this was a car parking lot of cars that had been impounded, and the Mercedes was open. So I put the Q-tip under the passenger seat. The friggin' dog found that. walking him around. He goes past the car, stops, comes back. He's sniffing the door well. So we then open the door, in he goes like this. It's amazing. And so this for the dog is the equivalent of binge watching, but it's binge stimulation, okay, through his nose. You know, he's used to the smell of your house. Let's get down or introduce them things that smell like our friends and family and play games with other things that smell well. So when you handle your puppy, because you've got to do 100 times as much. This is in the other webinars. I'm just going to go through it very quickly. You've got to go through the subliminal bite triggers. What are the subliminal bite triggers? These are places or things you touch the dog on the body or things you do that give the dog, they make him feel uneasy or give him the screaming heebie-jeebies. Okay? One trigger, like touching the dog's collar, often won't cause or usually doesn't cause the dog to bite on its own. But when 3 or 4 of these things come together, like your son's best friend comes home and goes to retrieve a toy that bumped into the dog's food bowl and touches the food bowl as the dog checks him out because he heard the food bowl move, what have you got? Little boy. So child, man, that's 2 of them. Stranger, food bowl, collar. You've got 5 subliminal triggers coming together and you'll get a full-blown bite out of the blue. You never saw it coming because you didn't pay attention to the fact that he takes a while to warm to strangers. He's a little tricky when you touch around his food bowl. He doesn't like having his collar touched. He ducks when you reach for his collar. So you've got to desensitize these triggers, which are 1 collar, 2 ears, 3 muzzle, 4 paws, 5 rear end, 6 hug or restrain, 7 eye contact, 8 valued objects. Off, take it, thank you. We can't really do 9, 10, and 11. That would be children, men, and strangers. It depends on who you have at home. So I see 2 of you over here, the Colemans, I guess. Yeah, Mum, I want you to do a lot. Dad, I want you to do 10 times as much as Mum, because she's not the target. Very few dogs bite adult women. They're too smart to do that. They know it's in their best interest to be cool with adult women, and they have good reason to be cool with adult women. They're more patient, they're more empathic, and they do more for the dog. If anyone's getting bitten, it's going to be you in the family. If anyone's going to be bitten, it's your best friend, an adult male. So you're going to teach him when you're working with the dog, or if you have children. Anyone here have children? Let me change to total view. Wave your hand if you have children. Yeah, good. So when your children are doing these handle exercises, they used enhanced kibble. I got you, Andrea and Della. So basically, how do you make, and Jacqueline, oh, you're Jacqueline Carr. Hi there. I've responded to a lot of your very insightful comments. By insightful, I mean SIGHT, not INCITE. Your very insightful comments on the Top Dog Academy. When your kids are working with kibble, you put the kibble in a bag and you put in something smelly. A little bit of cheese, itty bitty piece, a little bit of bacon, or a little bit of freeze-dried liver. Seal the bag. Within 30 minutes, every bit of kibble smells like cheese. That's what the children use. So the dog learns what? You know, well, I like it when Mum takes you by the collar. It's pretty cool. I'd like it much more when Dad takes you by the collar, because he gives me 5 bits of kibble. But, oh, I love it when kids take me by the collar. I love it when they hold my ears. I love it when they look in my mouth. I love it when they do. I love it, man. They have the best kibble in the world. Yeah, it is kibble, but it doesn't smell like it, you know, because the same way that we judge things by their looks, dogs judge things by their smell. They don't care what it tastes like. They really don't care what's in it. If it smells good, I'm going to eat it. And the best treat for dogs is cat poop. I thought actually as a joke of marketing cat poop as a dog treat, but I thought, no, it'd be hard to get off the ground, right? But there you go. So, and doing weird stuff. So you've got to do all of this. Now, you're going to have a lot of fun with your dogs, by doing all this silly stuff, by talking to your dog, by reading him stories, he's going to get used to you being there. So one thing you must do, I have rats. That's really funny. You got to house train your rats. You really do. Unless you have rats in the house and you don't want them there. That's what my poor house has back in Berkeley. Apparently, rats have taken over the basement while I've been away for like nearly 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Anyway, you got to prepare the dog for when this is over. And it will end, but it'll be a new normal. It will be different, okay? But you got to make sure your dog's prepared for that. So do please have your dog have little quiet moments while you're at home. So you can only train your dog for your absence when you're actually here. So when you're here, have times of the day, an hour here, maybe 2 hours there. When your dog's in one room, you're in another. It's as simple as that. And how do you do this to make it enjoyable? You say to the puppy, hey, you want to go to the bathroom or do you want to go to my study? And the puppy says, yeah. Why? Because you're going to give him a stuffed Kong. It's like we spend a lot of the day here in the training room, 4 crates are open and 4 dogs are lying inside. Why? We just gave them a stuffed chew toy and they each took it to their crate. They love going in their crate because that's Kong City. So we've got to get used the dog to confinement, downtimes, home alone, but we have to do it now. Don't wait for the crunch to come. You're spending all the time now cuddled up with your dogs. He's really going to miss it. By all means, spend a lot of time cuddled up with your dogs now. I find it helps if you do it certain times of the day. So what we're doing here is there's no cuddling prior to 7 p.m. Cuddling doesn't come into it. We have training, we have downtime, we have fetch, very important for them to learn and stuff, positions, they have to learn to block, they have to learn to help people up and what have you. But come 7, now we can have cuddle time. So yeah, they get their cuddle time, but by having it only after 7, we have dogs that don't ask for it before 7, but we also have dogs that know exactly when 7 p.m. is. It's unbelievable because they're in the same room where we cuddle, all asleep on their beds, and at 7 p.m., one dog gets up, usually first is Jen, and she raises her head and makes eye contact. If that doesn't work, she comes over and sits and looks at me, and she's saying, isn't it 7 p.m.? Cuddle time, and sure enough, then we invite 3, sometimes 4 dogs up on the couch. So there we go. We got to be creative. We can't invite people to the house to do it, but we can do everything else. We can do all the environmental enrichment in our house, download noises from Facebook. You get puppy soundproofing apps you download so you can have drills and children screaming and crying and cars backfiring and motorcycles and thunderstorms and fireworks in your living room, and you hand feed after each one. So you can do the environmental enrichment, the substrates on the floor, the agility, the dogs are going to run through just about everything. And they're going to love it, absolutely love it. You can do a lot of the people stuff, the handling, but you've got to do it 100-fold. And you can do the weird stuff. And the weird stuff is actually a lot of fun. And when you get in the routine of doing this, when these restrictions end, I hope the puppy or adult dog's prepared for this, staying at home alone. But there's no reason why you shouldn't continue having puppy parties 3 nights a week. And you invite your friends, but these are going to be real puppy parties. You're going to invite 15, 20, 30 people around, and everybody has to carry something weird, wear something weird, and act weird. Even if they pretend they're Irish, hello there. They have to role play when they come to your party. Life is going to be fun. It's going to be so much fun when we can see our friends and family again. We're going to have a lot of fun doing it. And it all started because of the stuff we can't do because we're confined and we have to do it for the dog.
Thanks for watching this video. If you'd like to learn more, make sure to visit dunbaracademy.com and check out our selection of free dog training and behavior courses. If you'd rather watch some more of our YouTube videos, click right over here or here. And if you want to see new videos as we post them, make sure to subscribe and don't forget to ring that bell for notifications.